Hey, how's it going, everyone? And we're back doing some Warframe. I actually have not necessarily a new frame, but I believe when we were running through this thing last, I had my Excalibur, and right now I'm using Ash, which I built probably about a week ago. And there's some new stuff. Like right now, we're on a new tile. This is the new Grineer ship. It's supposed to be pretty kind of rusted and kind of supposed to remind you of like a submarine type of thing, which it really does. It's very metallic and kind of old wartimey like that. And if you can see in my hands and also at the bottom right corner of my screen, I have a new weapon, new throwing weapon called the Kunais, which is pretty damn good. This weapon is pretty awesome, and this is actually the first time that I've been to this tile. So I decided when I dropped, well, pretty much right when I dropped in, I was like, hey, new tile, might as well, make a little bit of a video about it. That, and I don't really feel like getting anything new. A whole bunch of stuff dropped in the recent update 8. So new weapons, new tile sets. A whole bunch of new stuff. A whole bunch of new stuff. There's a new area in like some kind of pocket dimension that you can access only through an item called a void key, which are pretty rare to find. But you can, if you're willing to shell out 75 plat to buy 5 keys out of the store, then you can certainly do that as well. And pretty much once you use the key, it's gone. I mean, like if you use the key and you don't go into the level, I think it stays in your inventory. But pretty much once when you use it and you go to the level, it's just gone. And then you have to either find, when you run out of keys, you have to find some new ones, or you have to buy a set over again. Which, I mean, $5 for, I mean, real money now. $5 for 5 keys, it's about $1 per key, and then you have a chance to get a whole bunch of rare stuff that you can only get there, and a whole bunch of other stuff too. So great silent killer this thing is. I love it. I love it. Look at that. Almost 200 damage. It's pretty ridiculous. Like the base damage on this throwing weapon, and man, is it shiny in here. The base damage for this throwing weapon is 45. I put a serration mod on there, and it's not the serration mod isn't fully leveled up. I believe it's level 5 or 6, but it gives plus 120% to your base damage, which is pretty damn good. And then I also threw a weapon or an attack speed mod on here. I forget which one or what it's called on this, but it's pretty nice. I must say, I'm really happy, especially with this weapon. I started building it last night, and it takes about 12 hours to build if you don't rush it. I believe I could have rushed it for about 35 plat, but I was like, no, I can just wait 12 hours, no big deal. Pretty much started the build once update 8 had gone live, went into the in-game market store or what have you, and just bought the blueprints. Oddly enough, had the materials and the money to make it, so I just had it sitting in my foundry, kind of crafting and whatnot. Oh my god! I didn't know if I held down the primary fire button that I'd fire more than one. Oh, learn something new every day. And now that my throwing speed is way up there, I can potentially use more than I need to. So I guess I have to be very finesse-like with my button presses, much like in Smash Brothers when you're doing short hops. You have to be very careful and precise and very gentle when pressing that jump button, and that's pretty much what I'm going to have to do here. Of course, I won't be able to get it all the time because there will be moments where I panic like fucking shit when everything just gets thrown at me, so, you're probably going to see me panic here and there and just be like, oh! Gotta shoot everything, gotta kill everything, which in this case isn't good because they fire at an angle and not exactly straight, even though it kind of looks like I'm firing straight, but everything in this game fires at somewhat of an angle, so you have to be kind of careful in that regard. Takes those things out pretty good, so yeah, there you go. Oh my god. Flame blade, son of a bitch. Well, takes care of that guy. That guy's done too. Yeah, very, very awesome though. I'm liking the updates here. New updates, been waiting for it for about 2 weeks. I know a lot of people were very, very upset with update 7. And I think, you know, no matter what, you're never going to be able to please everyone. That's just the reality of pretty much every situation in life. And but for the most part, it seems like a majority of people are happier. God damn it. Fuck you. Yeah, it seems like a majority of the people, of the community anyway, are more satisfied with updates. Oh, stylish. Are more inclined to love Update 8 than Update 7. Update 7 changed a lot, and there's a bunch of bugs that came out, which, of course, would happen in open beta, or just any online game in general. You're never really going to be 100% bug-free, and I think a lot of people can't really grasp that, or if they do, they're just really, they're being really unreasonable. So, you know, it happens. It happens a lot. I know there's a lot of that stuff going on in the forums where people just, holy shit, oh my god. Yeah, I forgot, that's my, my alert sound. I have an app on my computer tied into this game that pretty much lets me know when an alert mission comes up and whether or not I want to you know, alt-tab out or what have you to see what it is. I don't really care right now. Most alert missions last about 30 minutes, so I don't see myself missing it even while recording this. So yeah, no big deal. I mean, I'm gonna explore everything because it's a new tile, and if I miss something, then I miss something, you know, and that's just how it is. I know a lot of people were really upset when Valban was released last update, update 7, and well, not necessarily update 7, but update 7 point whatever. Kind of as a nice little teaser to update 8, and a lot of people were really, really mad when Valban's parts were either you could only buy the whole Warframe for 300 plat, which is it's like, how much is that? I don't know, like 20 bucks. Or you could only, or the fact that his parts only dropped, or his blueprints for his parts only dropped for from alert missions, and there's only been, I think, 1 or 2 alerts that dropped maybe the chassis for him. Since most Warframes, if you're not aware, require a full blueprint and, well, 3 blueprints to get the helmet, the chassis, and the systems, and then once you have that, you have to craft them all together in one full blueprint of sorts. So right now, I believe only the chassis has dropped. A lot of people are pretty upset that it only dropped once or twice, which, I mean, it's a pretty rare thing because it is a Warframe as opposed to just an item or something. So I don't see where people are seeing that this is unreasonable. That and the alert lasted for an hour. But like I said, people were still unreasonably upset about that because they either weren't on, they were doing something in real life, and they're like, oh, they're pretty much crying over the whole idea that they couldn't get this one thing because they weren't on at the right time. And that's really just the reality of online games. You know, events happen, and it's not like this is a one-time event or anything. It's going to happen again. It's just, you know, you have to be on at the right time and just hope that you're there for it in the end. And if not, then, you know, I'm sure they'll change something, or they'll make it more easily accessible, because it seems like the big deal is that when a lot of people kind of really not necessarily bitch and moan, but, you know, pretty much when they do that unnecessarily, the devs try to come to a compromise, and then when people don't like the compromise, then the devs really, I mean, they have a choice, but they pretty much have no choice but to kind of give in and make things easier for the community, even though that's kind of ridiculous, because this is a game where you really should be not having an extremely hard time, but should be earning your way, because, you know, that's just... I feel like in a game like this, that's what you do. You know, having everything handed to you, at least personally, from my point of view, if you have everything handed to you on a silver platter, it's not good. It doesn't encourage working for what you want, and it makes things too easy, and it makes things boring. So, not a big fan of that type of... Oh, you're gonna stand... Wow. Those were some really bad throws on my part. My bad, guys. My bad. My bad. Yeah, you know, it's really nice to be back in Warframe and stuff, and it's pretty good. Another thing that people were complaining about, oddly enough, now that I'm talking about Warframe, I might as well talk about everything that's been happening, is that with the updates they made... Oh my god. They made changes to the way crafting recipes work, and the fact that now they don't just... like before, with most weapons and stuff, you could just go into the shop and then buy them for credits. You know, 12,000, anywhere from, like, you know, 10,000 to 50,000 creds. And creds are pretty easy to farm, at least from the last patch. They changed that a lot. In most alerts, you can get about 2,000 creds on top of whatever you find, and whatever the bonus is at the end, and then you can do that up to, man, I don't know, just like almost 9,000 creds, something like that. Oh, that was really stylish. Didn't even plan to do that, but that was really nice. But yeah, they changed it a little bit so that you can't really do that anymore, and that you actually have to buy the blueprints, which blueprints aren't really that expensive. I think the most expensive one might be 35,000 creds, which, I mean, creds are pretty easy to get these days, so that shouldn't really be a problem there. And then, obviously, there's going to be a credits cost for building the item in your foundry, on top of having some materials. And even back then, when all you could do was buy a thing with credits, or a blueprint, if you will, and make it, the materials required weren't that high, and you weren't really required to use a lot of rare and or uncommon parts. So it was pretty much like cake to make stuff. You just had to wait for it, and the devs didn't like that. And to be honest, I think that kind of defeated the purpose of a lot of these items that you were getting that were just kind of sitting in your inventory collecting dust. So they made it a little bit harder. They made it so that pretty much a lot of stuff require alloy plates now, and some of the prices were, or some of the requirements for alloy plates were absurd, like requiring 1,000 of them and whatnot. But you know, if you persevere enough and you farm some stuff, or you find a way to make it so that farming isn't farming, if you will, then it was still relatively easy. You know, you had to sink a little bit more time into the game, but it's not like you wouldn't have done it anyway if you played it enough and a lot. But, you know, obviously the players didn't like that. A lot of people, once again, kind of bitched and moaned about it and kind of threw a hissy fit, and so what the devs did was they kept the requirement for alloy in, but they made it easier. Like, instead of costing 1,000 or the minimum being like 300 or something, now like it seems like the maximum is about 300, and you know, I guess the minimum would be around 100 now or something. And they increased the drop rate for pretty much everything, including alloy. And on top of that, they put alloy on another planet just so that it would be easier to farm, I guess, which, you know, I feel is very, very unnecessary, and it's really just to appease their player base so people stop complaining, which I can certainly understand. But it wasn't really necessary, you know, like, what it came down to was people just got really lazy and they didn't want to put in the work put in some extra work and effort to get what it is that they wanted. That was unnecessary. They didn't need the item, they just wanted it really bad, and unfortunately, you know, the devs gave in. And I mean, that's not to say that there weren't going to be changes eventually to it, but changes had to come sooner rather than later because a lot of people were upset, and unnecessarily so. And that's just that's kind of a shame, you know. It really, like I said, it really shouldn't have gone down like that. Should have been people would just have to do some, you know, a little bit extra work, put a little bit more elbow grease into it, and would have been all good. But, you know, oddly enough, you know, like how I said, you can't please everyone all the time. With these changes, some people are still kind of pissed, and it's like, really, like, the game, you asked them to make the game easier for you, and they did, and you're still not happy because they didn't make it easy to your specifications, you know. Like, I hate that. I hate when people, or not hate, hate's a really strong word, but I guess you could say that. I really dislike when people demand that you need to make something easier for them, and then you do, but because you didn't make it easy to their specifications, they're like, oh, well, fuck you too still, you know. It's like, really? Like, you have to be that unreasonable. Yeah, you really have to be that unreasonable, you know. It's really unbelievable on a whole lot of levels. And really, like, going on to, I like going on to the forums, you know, here and there, like, to see what people are up to and whatnot, but you know, talking with people on the forums, it just turns into a big argument, because a lot of people, you know, just in-game and in the forums in general, which is kind of a weird way that I transitioned into that, but, you know, going along with that, if you want to see unreasonable, go to the forums of any game you play. People are so unbelievably hard to please, pretty much impossible, and trying to talk with someone on the forums is generally impossible in that regard too, because a lot of people, they're like, hey, I'm not trying to be right or whatever, or, you know, whatnot on this situation, but, and then they explain stuff, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm open to criticism and all this stuff, just leave me feedback. And then if you don't leave them feedback that they want to hear, you know, they get really upset. And they pretty much, a lot of people, what it comes down to is a lot of people have unrealistic expectations. You know, it's all right to have high expectations, I suppose, for something. And it's all right, like, I know everyone anticipates an answer that they want. That's just kind of human nature. But you can't honestly expect that to happen all the time. And a lot of people do. And that's really problematic, because a lot of people end up disappointing themselves more than they need to. But you can't go into a situation and expect everything to go your way all the time, and that's what people do. And it's pretty unfortunate that that's the nature of our culture today. You know, I think you should go in and expect, you want to expect the best, but also prepare for the worst. Not necessarily to be too overly optimistic or pessimistic, but you should do that and then kind of be neutral, you know, like, kind of expect both of the, you know, anything you say or any argument that you could possibly bring up to go either good or bad, and not necessarily just one or the other. Or not, yeah, you know, I think you're picking up what I'm throwing down here, but having unnecessarily high expectations, both positive and or negative, is pretty much setting you up for failure in either regard. So you shouldn't do that to yourself, which a lot of people do. And I know a lot of people, when especially playing games, are younger, and I'm pretty young myself still. I'm 26, and I'm going to be 27 in about you know, less than a month, honestly, a couple weeks actually. But it's kind of one of those things that you learn either the easy way or the hard way, and it's really just through life experience. And some people are forced to learn it earlier, and some people, you know, lucky enough, are able to gradually experience something like that. But it is a lesson that you'll eventually have to learn, and it's going to shape and change you depending on how well you're able to take that, you know, take news like that, you know, good and bad and what have you. So, but yeah, it's like people had unrealistic expectations for update 7, and thus were extremely disappointed. I mean, a lot of stuff happened that kind of helped to facilitate that attitude, but even so, when something goes bad, you can handle it a little better. You know, this wasn't some kind of life-threatening deal. You know, it's a game, and I have high expectations for games myself, and I generally get upset. I mean, you guys, you know, if you've watched me long enough, you know what happens when I get upset, you know, about something or whatever. But I try to look at it as objectively as possible. I know that's not completely plausible because, you know, everyone has their opinion and whatnot, but I try not to get too ridiculously, you know, out there about my opinion. You know, I spout off my opinion and I'm like, hey, you know, maybe this is what they could have done. I don't know what they're doing here, or blah blah blah, or whatever. Like the whole Nintendo and Microsoft stuff that recently happened. But I try to keep an open mind about a lot of stuff. And, you know, wow, I like fell into the core there. Yeah, I try to keep a pretty open mind about stuff, and, you know, obviously at that point in time, that's how I feel. But, you know, that feeling can always change, and with games, you can't put your expectations too high up. You know, it's good to have high expectations, being like, oh yeah, you know, they're going to do this and they're going to do that. It'll be great if they can do these things, but, you know, like I said, it all goes back to you can't please everyone all the time, and people just have to realize that and kind of get over themselves in that situation and be like, hey, you know, they're developing this game, they're trying, you know, to do what they can for the player base as a whole, but not everything is going to work out the door, especially in an online game. In an online situation, you know, things can pretty much go wrong all the time and at every juncture along the way. So, you know, you just have to be kind of prepared for that and not expect a lot out of everything while also expecting a lot, if you will. It's kind of contradictory in that measure, but, you know, I think you get what I'm saying in that regard, which I kind of rambled on a lot for. Ooh, look at that. Look at that nice view outside. If I wasn't getting attacked, I could enjoy it more, god damn it. Kill you. So good. These kunais, they are the best. I love them. I'm glad they were put in. They also have a stronger version of these things. They're actually throwing knives that you get from a special NPC enemy in the game called the Stalker, which, you know, Digital Extremes, the publishers behind the game, finally sort of acknowledged. Because when the Stalker first appeared, they're like, Stalker? What Stalker? There's no such thing as a Stalker NPC. What are you talking about? And yeah, obviously they're playing it off. They're role-playing a little bit, but they've kind of acknowledged him. You can get his weapon pack that has the throwing knives in them for like 800 platinum, so a lot of money, like $50. But it comes with the 4 weapons that he carries: the scythe, his bow, the throwing knives, and something else. I think he used to carry around a sword, so it might be a sword of sorts or a gun. I don't know, but yeah, you can get the throwing knife version, the stronger version of what I'm using, the kunais, and they start off with 10, I think 10 more base damage than this thing. So pretty strong stuff. Pretty strong stuff. Let's kind of take a look out into space again. Yeah, it's kind of does remind you of a submarine. I mean, with the porthole style windows and stuff. Pretty cool. pretty cool stuff. I'm pretty sure I missed a periscope somewhere, but yeah. What is that guy doing? Oh. Hey! Kunai's leveled up, level 10. Very good. I need to build, I need to potato this thing and build a reactor or a catalyst or something so that I can put more mods into this thing. You know, effectively double my mod space, if you will, or the amount of mods that I could put in, depending. Oh man, they... Cypher! Easy mode. Sweet. Good stuff, good stuff. Really, really happy though. I couldn't be happier with this update. They added a whole bunch of stuff. You know, like I said, a bunch of new tiles, like this one that you're seeing right here, an Orokin tile, so we can finally see, like, you know, kind of like our predecessor home and stuff. And it's really ornate and very, very beautiful, very, very shiny, I guess, if I were to put it. Very, very shiny in that regard. Very architecturally huge too. Very, very huge. Very, very nice though, and a lot of weird stuff. Like the enemies that we fight there are called the Corrupted. It's pretty much every enemy type that you fought before, but they kind of like have this weird glow to them, and yeah, it's just odd. But I guess when you die there, you become corrupted, because that place has just been, for lack of a better term and being redundant, corrupted. So pretty nice. But there are they dropped 20 weapons on us, a bunch that you can only pick up pretty much in the new Orokin area, a couple that you can only build. A bunch that only drop, like, you know, off the stalker, and some that you can only craft in the newly introduced clan halls. So really, really interesting things. A bunch of new enemies too. Like, I'm surprised we haven't run into any of the new Grineer types that I've seen in my adventures yet. But maybe we're not in a high enough leveled area or whatnot, because the Grineer, as far as I know, they have two new enemy types. One is the Scorcher that has a short-range flamethrower on their back, and the other is a new female melee Grineer called the Scorpion, which, oddly enough, just think Mortal Kombat Scorpion. You know, she throws out a harpoon on a chain that drags you on the ground, and oh, I think that was a Scorpion right there, but we killed her, so, or him, or whatever, I don't know. Either way, no, I think that wasn't a Scorpion, because Scorpions are female as far as I know. But yeah, think a la Mortal Kombat. And when she throws the chain out and drags you on the floor, you can't do anything. Pretty much all your ways of attacking are disabled, unless you have a Sentinel. A Sentinel can still attack the Scorpion while you're on the ground, so that's pretty good. That's one way to combat it, aside from just getting your ass dragged through hell. Other than that, though, it's haven't really seen too much new. I don't think the Infested have any new enemies, and I don't believe the Corpus have really... Oh, well, no, the Corpus have a new enemy, Corpus Tech. It's kind of like a bigger Corpus enemy, pretty giant actually, and they can create and or summon or build they're flying robots. I don't know why I can't, or Ospreys, there you go. They can spawn Ospreys, which is annoying. I hate Ospreys. Annoying flying things that are hard to hit and pretty much do anything from shield your enemies to dropping your shields to dropping mines everywhere. It's really is annoying and unfortunate to fight a myriad of those. Not fun. Not fun in the least. Shit. Screw that up. No more ciphers. Come on, there we go. That's the ticket. Yeah, we are free to proceed. Alright, we should probably start making our way towards the end. This is a really huge tile, by the way. I didn't expect the tile to be this large. I was gonna say, I didn't expect it to be this big, and, you know, that's obviously what she said, so there we go. Yeah, I'm surprised. I haven't really run out of kunais. Maybe it's because my kunais are pretty strong and that I haven't, that and I'm being pretty precise-ish with them. So, killing everything, generally one hit, and picking up enough to recoup my losses when I completely fuck up like that. Where the hell did that thing go? I like teleported towards me and then just vanished. I can still hear it. Huh. This is the way out. Come on. There we go. Haha. Yeah, great. I really want to kill that thing that teleported towards me. Unless I killed it and fell into the ground. I don't think so, though. Oh, there it is. Or maybe that wasn't it. No. No, that was the normal thing. Oh, that was the exit back there. That was indeedly doodly the exit. So, oh well. That was good. That was good. Probably wasted a lot more time. But I wanted to explore the whole of this this place, this new Grineer tile. It's really nice. Really, really nice. So, there we go. Mission complete. That is the end. If you can... I think it's random. And my kunai leveled up to 11, so that's really good. It's pretty random, I think, the tile that you get. As long as you are on... If you click a Grineer mission, you have a chance to go through Grineer tile, but, you know, either way. There we go. That's it, guys. That's all I wanted to show you. Just update you on Update 8. Show you the new tile and all that stuff. Not bad. 256 kills. My accuracy was 57, which I guess is, you know, not too bad. I got my targets half the time, or a little bit more than half the time. So, thank you for joining me. Hope you enjoyed. This will be up at some point, and I will see you later.